getting good project ideas to start with, and making sure that a project is implemented and monitored carefully. In this short chapter, we're going to look at some of the important techniques that surround the financial analysis, and the simple topics that we cover tend to be examined quite frequently, although generally only for about 7 or 8 marks. In this section, we present the idea that the capital budgeting process can be broken down into 3 phases. First of all, let's look at the phase that involves collecting good project ideas to start with, which we'll refer to as the project development phase. A question may present some potential sources of ideas here for you, but if not, some general points that you could mention are that it's absolutely crucial for you to be regularly scanning your commercial environment, talking to your suppliers, talking to your customers and to your staff, incentivizing staff to come up with good ideas, and taking evidence of what's happening in your commercial environment and translating these into attractive commercial projects. These would then be overseen by an innovation committee that could rank the most promising of these project ideas. And to incentivize your board, you could make sure that as part of their bonus scheme, they're incentivized to develop new projects. So, for example, an incentive might be based on the percent of the company's revenue that's coming from new products. These simple steps should ensure that a company has a regular pipeline of good commercial ideas to appraise. Without these sorts of simple mechanisms, good ideas may simply dry up, so it's important that you can comment in a practical way on how a company can ensure that new projects are actually being actively developed. Once we have some good project ideas, we can start analysing them, and we've done some work on this already. But it's important that we don't simply perform a financial analysis, that we also place project ideas into their strategic context. So making sure that we screen out ideas that don't fit with our strategic direction, that have no strategic logic for our company. And thinking carefully about whether we've got the cash resource, the skills and the management time to implement specific projects. In other words, we're going to use the Johnson & Scholes suitability, feasibility, acceptability framework. You'll have seen this elsewhere in your studies. Acceptability, remember, also refers to how particular stakeholders, for example, your staff, your key customers, might feel about a new project that you're considering. As we've seen in earlier chapters, we would also be careful to analyse risk, uncertainty, and potential real options associated with a project. Finally, we might have a problem with IT projects in particular, that the costs of investing in the project are clear and tangible, but the benefits aren't. The benefits of a new information system might be better information, higher customer service, better stock availability. These can be difficult to quantify. So it's important to remember that with intangible benefits, you can attempt to say what would have to happen to sales in order to pay off the project. Without saying what sales are going to move by, you can at least describe what would need to happen in order for the project to pay for itself. Alternatively, or in addition, you could describe the benefits of the project without putting a pound or dollar sign at the end of your description. Finally, having approved a project, it's important that we've got controls over its implementation, and also that we monitor it to make sure it's delivering the benefits that were expected. Implementation and post-implementation monitoring are likely to be overseen by a project committee drawn from a number of different functions within the business. and routinely this project committee will be provided with information, monitoring whether a project is going to be delivered on time and whether it's going to be delivered at cost. As part of this, we would expect for the project committee to be regularly projecting ahead to see if, bearing in mind where you are now in terms of time and cost, the project is likely to be completed within its time and cost budget. Once a project has been implemented, we'd expect one final control. A post-completion audit is commonly used by most large companies to assess whether a project actually delivered the benefits, for example the NPV, that was originally being forecast. This is the most important topic in the chapter, but it is a simple area. We'd normally expect a post-audit to be carried out a year or two after a project has gone live, so it's being carried out during the project life. Ideally, it will be carried out by people who were not associated with the original project decision, so that if criticisms need to be made, then those criticisms are made objectively. Post-audits are looking for particular issues, either things that have gone badly or things that have gone well, that hopefully a company can learn from as it implements projects of a similar nature. If a project is very unique, then the benefits of a post-audit will be less, because there'll be less to learn, because similar projects won't be undertaken going forward. But if a project is fairly routine in terms of a company's normal business, so for example you've opened up a new factory or you've launched a new brand, then a post-audit is likely to be invaluable. And it should also make sure that when a project is being formulated in the first place and an NPV is being projected, that NPV isn't wildly optimistic. However, as with any control mechanism, there is the danger that if you implement it in too aggressive a fashion, that it can cause problems. So with the post-audit, if you're looking for errors in a project that are perhaps outside the project manager's control anyway, and you're blaming the project manager for them, that you create a blame culture. And one consequence of that will be that people will be very unwilling to come forward with good ideas in the first place. Now we saw in the first step in project development at the top of this section that it's absolutely crucial to create a pipeline of good ideas. This will dry up if a blame culture is created. The way that post-audits are normally tested are to give you a scenario within which you'll be doing some numerical work, and then as part C or D to ask you to comment on the potential value of a post-audit. And this will normally involve explaining what a post-audit is and relating it in a very straightforward, practical way to the scenario that you're given. Okay, so there's nothing difficult in this chapter, and that makes it really inexcusable if you're unable to discuss it on the day of the exam. It's very important that you're comfortable with the idea that project development and project control are an essential component of the capital budgeting process. And also that where you're analysing projects, it's not enough to look at the financial returns, it's also crucial to place a project into its strategic context and to examine its strategic logic and feasibility issues.